At Green Acre, the Swami became a friend of Dr. Louis G. Janes, director of the School of Comparative Religions, which organized the Green Acre Conference. He was also the president of the Brooklyn Ethical Association. The following autumn, he lectured in Baltimore and Washington. During the Swami's visit to New York, he was the guest of friends, mostly rich ladies of the metropolitan city. He had not yet started any serious work there. Soon he began to feel a sort of restraint put upon his movements. Very few of his wealthy friends understood the true import of his message. They were interested in him as a novelty from India. Also to them, he was a man of the hour, and they wanted to mix with only the exclusive society of the right people. He chafed under the domination and one day cried, "Shiva, Shiva, has it ever come to pass that a great work has been grown by the rich? It is brain and heart that create, and not one's purse." He wanted to break away from their power and devote himself to the training of some serious students in the spiritual life. He was fed up with public lectures. Now he became eager to mold silently the characters of individuals that were ripe for Vedanta. He could no longer bear the yoke of money and all the botheration that came in its train. He would live simply and give freely, like the holy man of India. Soon an opportunity presented itself. Dr. Louis Janes invited the Swami to give a series of lectures on the Hindu religion before the Brooklyn Ethical Association. On the evening of 31st December 1894, the Swami gave his first lecture, and according to the report of the Brooklyn Standard, the enthusiastic audience, consisting of doctors, lawyers, and judges and teachers, remained spellbound by his eloquent defense of the religion of India. They all acknowledged that Vivekananda was even greater than his fame. At the end of the meeting, they made an insistent demand for regular classes in Brooklyn, to which the Swami agreed. A series of class meetings was held, and several public lectures were given at the Pouch Mansion, where the Ethical Association held its meetings. These lectures constituted the beginning of the permanent work in America, which the Swami secretly desired. Soon after, several poor but earnest students rented for the Swami some unfurnished rooms in a poor section of New York City. He lived in one of them. An ordinary room on the second floor of the lodging house was used for the lectures and classes. The Swami, when conducting the meetings, sat on the floor, while the ever more numerous auditors seated themselves as best they could, utilizing the marble top dresser, the arms of the sofa, and even the corner washstand. The door was left open, and the overflow filled the hall and sat on the chairs. The Swami, like a typical religious leader in India, felt himself in his own element. The students, forgetting all the inconveniences, hung upon every word uttered from the teacher's deep and direct experiences, and on his wide range of knowledge. The lectures, given every morning and several evenings a week, were free. The rent was paid by the voluntary subscriptions of the students, and the deficit was met by the Swami himself through the money he earned by giving secular lectures on India. Soon the meeting place had to be removed downstairs to occupy an entire parlor floor. He began to instruct several chosen disciples in jnana yoga in order to clarify their intellects regarding the subtle truths of Vedanta, and also in Raja Yoga to teach them the science of self-control, concentration, and meditation. The Swami was immensely happy with the result of his concentrated work, and he enjoined upon these students to follow strict disciplines regarding food, choosing only the simplest. The necessity of chastity was emphasized, and they were warned against psychic and occult powers or siddhis. At the same time, he broadened their intellectual horizon through the teachings of Vedantic universality. Daily he meditated with the serious students. Often he would lose all bodily consciousness, and like Sri Ramakrishna, had to be brought back to the knowledge of the world through the repetition of certain holy words that he had taught his disciples. It was sometime about June in 1895 when Swami Vivekananda finished writing his famous book, Raja Yoga, which attracted the attention of the Harvard philosopher William James, and was later to rouse the enthusiasm of Tolstoy. The book is a translation of Patanjali's yoga aphorisms, the Swami adding his own explanations. The introductory chapters written by him are especially illuminating. Patanjali expounded through these aphorisms the philosophy of yoga, the main purpose of which is to show the way of the soul's attaining freedom from the bondage of matter. Various methods of concentration are discussed. The book well served two purposes. First, the Swami demonstrated that religious experiences could stand on the same footing as scientific truths, being based on experimentation, observation, and verification. Therefore, genuine spiritual experiences must not be dogmatically discarded as lacking rational evidence. Secondly, the Swami explained lucidly various disciplines of concentration, with the warning, however, that they should not be pursued without the help of a qualified teacher. Miss Ellen Waldo of Brooklyn, a disciple of the Swami, was his amanuensis, a type of secretary. She thus described the manner in which he dictated the book. In delivering his commentaries on the aphorisms, he would leave me waiting while he entered into deep states of meditation or self-contemplation, to emerge therefrom with some luminous interpretation. I had always to keep the pen dipped in the ink. He might be absorbed for long periods of time, and then suddenly his silence would be broken by some eager expression or some long, deliberate teaching. By the middle of the year 1895, the Swami was completely exhausted. The numerous classes and lectures, the private instruction, the increasing correspondence, and the writing of Raja Yoga had tired him both physically and mentally. It was a Herculean task to spread the message of Hinduism in an alien land, and at the same time to mold the lives of individuals according to the highest ideal of renunciation. Besides, there were annoyances from zealous but well-meaning friends, especially women. Some suggested that he should take elocution lessons. Some urged him to dress fashionably in order to influence society people. Others admonished him against mixing with all sorts of people. At times he would be indignant and say, "Why should I be bound down with all this nonsense? I am a monk who has realized the vanity of all earthly nonsense. I have no time to give my manners a finish. I cannot find time enough to give my message. I will give it after my own fashion. Shall I be dragged down into the narrow limits of your conventional life? Never." Again, the Swami wrote to a devotee, I long for my rags, my shaven head, my sleep under the trees, and my food from begging." The Swami needed rest from his strenuous work and accepted the invitation of his devoted friend, Francis H. Leggett, to come to his summer camp at Percy, New Hampshire, and rest in the silence of the pine woods. In the meantime, Miss Elizabeth Dutcher, one of his students in New York, cordially asked the Swami to take a vacation in her summer cottage at Thousand Island Park on the St. Lawrence River. The Swami gratefully accepted both invitations. About his life at the camp, the Swami wrote to a friend on 7th June, 1895. It gives me a new lease of life to be here. I go into the forest alone and read the Gita, and I am quite happy. After a short visit at Percy, he arrived in June at Thousand Island Park, where he spent 7 weeks. This proved to be a momentous period in his life in the Western world. When the students who had been attending Swami Vivekananda's classes in New York heard of Miss Dutcher's proposal, they were immensely pleased because they did not want any interruption of their lessons. The Swami also, after 2 years of extensive work in America, had become eager to mold the spiritual life of individual students that were ripe and to train a group that would carry on his work in America in the future. He wrote to one of his friends that he intended to manufacture a few yogis from the materials of the classes. He wanted only those to follow him to Thousand Island Park who were completely earnest in their practice of spiritual disciplines. And he said that he would gladly recognize these as his disciples. By a singular coincidence, just 12 disciples were taught by him at the summer retreat, though all were not there the full 7 weeks. 10 was the largest number present at any one time. 2, Marie-Louise and Mr. Leon Landsberg, were initiated at Thousand Island Park into the monastic life. Marie-Louise, French by birth, but a naturalized American, a materialist and socialist, a fearless, progressive woman, a worker known to the press and platform, was given the name Abhayananda. And Leon Landsberg was a Russian Jew and a member of the staff of a prominent New York newspaper, and he became known as Kripa-Ananda. Both took the vows of poverty and chastity. In many respects, the sojourn of Miss Dutcher's cottage was ideal for the Swami's purpose. Here, to this intimate group, he revealed brilliant flashes of illumination, lofty flights of eloquence, and outpourings of the most profound wisdom. The whole experience was reminiscent of the Dakshineswar days when the Swami, as a young Narendra, had been initiated into the mysteries of the spiritual life at the feet of his master, Ramakrishna.